Last year, I saw lots of clues to changes coming in our manufactured home communities. Want to hear more? Stay tuned. Can a manufactured home community in Florida make your retirement dream come true? I'm Russ Watson. Join me as I share over a decade of experience helping folks who are living in or looking at this active lifestyle. Happy 2025. I want to introduce the year with some musings on things that are changing and things that have changed. While no two communities are identical, there are common threads I see in the hundreds of comments I receive throughout the year from prospective residents, current residents, and community leaders. These trends will affect you whether you are trying to choose the right community or you are looking to understand what's going on in your park. Staying ahead of these trends allows you to make better choices. One of the major issues facing us is insurance, and I'll talk about that too later in the episode. So let's dig in. The most common topic I get asked about in video comments is lot rent. Most folks seem to believe that today's manufactured home communities should have the same rent as trailer parks their parents and grandparents knew in the 70s and 80s. In the late 1990s, as the stigma of the trailer park was removed from manufactured home communities, the price started going up. My father was lucky and got in just before this trend began. In 1994, he and my stepmother bought a new home in a developing park. As part of the deal, he got a lifetime lot rent agreement under $300 a month. You could live on that with a small fixed retirement income, and even today, many folks who aren't familiar with the market believe that's still the case. In the last couple of years, rental prices for apartments and homes have gone up at a rapid pace, and lot rents of $1,000 a month or more look like a bargain. Buying a site-built home on its own land is out of reach for most who are renting. So look for an influx of buyers who are still in the workforce and can swing the much lower purchase price for a home in a land lease community while still being able to easily afford the monthly lot rent. In fact, for many, it will be a significant decrease in monthly costs. Homes in resident-owned communities have already seen their values increase tremendously, and this can only continue into 2025 as conventional home prices rise and the availability of anything priced below that level decreases. A lot of folks ask why land lease communities are so expensive. But the real question is, why are resident-owned communities so cheap? The answer is twofold. First, they were purchased at a time when the land was considerably cheaper. And in general, these mortgages have been paid off, leaving no debt. Second, resident-owned communities are usually operated as a nonprofit or a for-profit with very small returns. The residents' return on their investment is actually the lower monthly cost to live in the community. If you are buying into a land lease community in Florida in 2025, you must expect and budget for increases in lot rent on an annual basis. My rule of thumb is an average of 5% a year in our state for budgetary purposes. This can go lower or even higher, depending upon inflationary pressure and rising land values. The plus side to land lease communities is the initial capital required for the home. Because monthly costs are high, homes sell at much lower prices than those found in resident-owned communities or in a manufactured home subdivision. If low monthly costs that stay low over a long period of time are the situation you need, then resident-owned communities are your answer. The initial investment is higher, but for folks selling homes up north, This is often still considerably less than the equity they have built in the home they are selling. In 2025 and beyond, I see home prices in resident-owned communities going much higher as they compete with a limited supply of smaller size conventional housing. Another trend we are seeing in land lease communities is an increase in park-owned rental units. With interest rates rising, folks are finding it difficult to buy new homes in these parks, so park owners looking to fill empty lots are having new homes installed and then renting them. Sometimes these are rent-to-own agreements, and sometimes they are just outright lease arrangements. In most cases, the folks renting have full access to the park amenities, but they're prohibited by law from becoming voting members of the HOA. In response to this, some HOAs have made a non-voting form of membership that allows renters to participate in the HOA's activities and take advantage of reduced pricing that some HOAs offer members. Parks are not immune to the tiny house movement either, and one way to cut lot rents is to put more homes in a given area using smaller homes. Look for this trend to increase with park model homes and other sorts of structures being allowed in communities. Recently, the city of Venice announced a new interpretation of their building code that allows tiny homes and container homes to replace mobile homes that were damaged by a hurricane. RV communities offer considerably lower lot rents for the smaller homes. They are increasingly attractive to snowbirds looking for lower costs or looking for just a vacation getaway all to themselves. You can see some of these in my recent video on Zephyr Hills. Many of the traditional activities in manufactured home communities are being replaced by newer interests. Pickleball has replaced tennis. Bocce and cornhole are replacing shuffleboard and horseshoes. Park owners are looking to attract younger and more affluent residents, and they do this by putting in elaborate fitness centers. Most tennis courts have been remodeled to accommodate both tennis and pickleball. Attendance to traditional activities such as potluck dinners and dinner dances seems to be diminishing. Catered events are becoming more popular, and some communities are allowing food trucks to come into the park. This is great for those who do not want to cook or want a change of pace without having to go out to an expensive restaurant. The dynamic of a greater number of residents working full and part-time is playing into the success or failure of activities and events. It will be interesting to see what community leaders come up with to keep residents engaged and continue the village-like lifestyle enjoyed in our communities. Something we are seeing in other parts of the country is a move away from 55-plus communities. The 55-plus designation is a HUD program the park owner can choose to follow and is used to allow the park to offer housing which discriminates by age. But with rising lot rents, the younger crowd are increasingly those more able to afford living in these parks. In Florida, many prospectus documents state that the park is for primarily older people. So, changing over to an all-age park may require some legal work. It's not clear to me if municipalities have any recourse here. There is currently at least one lawsuit pending in California where a park has chosen to give up the 55-plus designation against the wishes of many of its residents. The other big topic is insurance, and I'll jump into that in just a minute. But first, I want to tell you a little more about Florida manufactured home living. I've given you some of my insights into what's happening and how 2025 is unfolding for our Florida manufactured home communities. Those interested in buying a Florida manufactured home as well as those currently living in Florida manufactured homes, need more resources than just this podcast. That is why I offer my free resource guide available by joining the Inner Circle. Membership in the Inner Circle is free, and not only do you get our resource guide, but you also get access to exclusive resources found on the members page in our website. To join, just enter gotoinnercircle.com on any browser and fill out the form. It's absolutely free. That's all one word, gotoinnercircle.com. Now let's talk about insurance for Florida manufactured homes. Insurance is something that affects everyone living in Florida. As of 2022, there were approximately 822,000 manufactured and mobile homes in Florida. In 2018, the Office of Insurance Regulation listed only a little over 260,000 of those homes as being insured. It's likely that number has gone down as costs have risen considerably since then. I know in my community, many folks have dropped insurance and are either self-insuring by funding a savings account toward any difficulties, or are simply hoping nothing happens. I have also seen prospectus documents in many communities that require insurance, but the documents say management may waive the requirement if it's not reasonably available. My guess is that in many areas, parks are no longer requiring you to have coverage, as it would result in widespread evictions. If you are buying a home in a park where the prospectus says management requires insurance coverage but may waive it, be sure to get that waiver in writing at the closing. There are ways to reduce insurance costs while still maintaining some coverage. The simplest way is to obtain a policy without wind coverage. While not ideal, as hurricanes are the issue most worry about, it does cover you for personal liability, fire, theft, and other common coverages that homeowner policies offer. High deductibles and lower insurance values can also cut the cost if available. Another surprising fact that I recently discovered is that insurance on new homes is remarkably cheaper than insurance on an older home in the same location. So if you are looking at relatively new homes, say 10 years or less since construction, it behooves you to compare them with the cost of a new home in terms of insurance. You may find the difference easily covers the cost of financing the new home versus the cost of the slightly older one. And new homes often come with reduced lot rent for a period of time, which you can also apply to this difference. We have an entire episode coming up with a representative from the insurance industry, where we will explore the current insurance environment and the best strategies for manufactured and mobile homeowners. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time.